And we welcome you to Long Beach, California, just miles away from the waterfront, where Matchroom Boxing brings you the final press conference for the 168-pound showdown between the undefeated Diego Pacheco and the former world title challenger, Immanuwel Aleem. Chris Mannix alongside the former junior middleweight champion, Sergio Moore. And Sergio, Diego Pacheco has headlined all over the world, in the U.S., Las Vegas, Mexico, UK, but there's something about a Mexican-American fighter headlining right here in Southern California.
It's the passion. It's the fact that there's so many Mexican and Mexican-Americans in the Southern California area. We're familiar with the war grounds here in Carson, and Pacheco is one of those guys. He's cut from that cloth and a knockout artist.
All right, he is a knockout artist, but he has been on something of a knockout drought over his last few fights. 18 of his first 22 wins have come by knockout. He's got 3 straight, all by decision, all pretty clear-cut, but something has changed maybe a little bit. I think Diego would acknowledge that. He is now working with Buddy McGirt, the Hall of Famer, as his trainer. What do you think of what you've seen from Pacheco, and what do you think of the shift to Buddy McGirt?
Well, listen, I love the shift. Buddy McGirt not only was a great fighter, but he's an amazing trainer as well. So I like that pairing. The chemistry needs to build. We're going to find out how that moves. But Pacheco is fighting better competition. That's the reason I think the knockout streak has stopped. He's fighting undefeated fighters, guys like Nelson, guys like McCumbee, guys that gave champions trouble, and of course Sergio, strong fighters, athletic fighters, guys that aren't accustomed to being beaten. So Pacheco's facing better opposition, but we also need to find out, is Diego Pacheco really still that knockout artist, or are we going to get accustomed to unanimous decisions?
Yeah, I can see it be a good test. I think Immanuwel Aleem will be a good test as well. This is all part of a terrific 8-fight card from Dignity Health in Southern California, Carson, California, to be specific. A tremendous card that begins with the brother of Diego Pacheco, Freddie Pacheco Jr., taking on Nick Jones in a heavyweight matchup, putting his undefeated title on the line. Then Frank Espinoza, young prospect that Matchroom is very excited about, 4-0 in his young career. He takes on Luis Caraballo. Then Samuel Contreras, another undefeated 135-pound prospect. He takes on Jorge Alberto Ayala. And then Leo Atang, someone the UK fans are very familiar with, undefeated heavyweight, been storming through the heavyweight ranks early in his career. He makes his US debut against Glenn Williams. We've got 3 press conferences on tap to kick this thing off. Let's go downstairs and get it started with Eddie Hearn.
Well, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Sergio, and welcome everybody to Los Angeles, California, as the big nights keep on rolling on DAZN, the global home of boxing. You would have recently seen another huge announcement with the welcoming of the PBC now to the global home of boxing. Every major...
Have you ever watched a press conference where both fighters looked completely calm, but you could still feel the tension building with every word they spoke? It's exactly what happened in Long Beach, California, as Matchroom Boxing officially launched Fight Week for one of the most important super middleweight clashes of the year. Undefeated contender Diego Pacheco returned home to Southern California, ready to defend his perfect record against former world title challenger Immanuwel Aleem in a fight that could determine the next challenger for a world championship.
Andy Ruiz came up short.
Andy Ruiz is September, yes.
Well, I'm excited for the heavyweights. Andy Cruz, was just an elite boxer that came up short against a more physical fighter. Muay had a great game plan. Muay has a great trainer, and they follow that game plan to the end. So the strategy was just better. But now you can expect Cruz evolving from that, learning from that, knowing that he has to get a little bit more aggressive, physical. I mean, these are things that Cuban fighters don't normally do, but since he's training with Philadelphia now, training with Bozy and Boots Ennis, he's going to have to pick up that aggression, learn how to become more of a puncher boxer than just a strict Cuban boxer, and I think he's learning that.
He's got to deal with a late replacement opponent as well. Andy Cruz was originally scheduled to take on Albert Bell. Albert Bell took the opportunity against Abdullah Mason a couple of moments ago. Now it's Albert Montoya in front of him on this fight.
And we saw how it worked out in Cleveland. This is what happens when you get the late replacements. You gotta watch out for that. It has nothing to do with conditioning or how in great shape or prepared you are. It has to do that you weren't training for that style. You weren't training for that opponent. So it can be adjusting. Sometimes it takes 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Sometimes it takes half the fight. These are the type of fights that can make you look bad. Even in winning, you can actually take somewhat of a loss in criticism by not looking good.
Yeah, important fight for Andy Cruz, trying to take one more step towards another crack at 135-pound gold. That headlines a terrific undercard in Carson, California. Saul Sanchez starts us off 21-4. He takes on Bruno Rios in a 118-pound contest. Then Albert Gonzalez, he takes on Aaron Almeida, two fighters with a lot of experience, good power on both sides. Then the aforementioned Andy Cruz, he will step up, 8th pro fight.
Beneath this main event that would give you incredible entertainment in the arena, that beautiful open air arena, and of course live and exclusive on DAZN around the world. We've done it. And our matchmaker, Kevin Rooney, is a savage because what he wants every time is just great fights, war after war, and great narrative as well. And we've got that particularly with the first fight of the main card. Saul Sanchez against Bruno Rios is a fight that we didn't really expect to put together. Joshua Franco was coming back into action. Saul Sanchez was the guy that we want. Sal, if you remember, I thought you were robbed of a world championship in Quebec when I saw you that time, and I told you we'll give you an opportunity. It's been a long time coming, but you've got it against an incredible young fighter. Just 8 fights so far in well deep. Robert Garcia believes in this young man. It's a huge challenge for him. Bruno, we'll start with you. Welcome. This is a fight that probably the whole team didn't expect at this stage in your career. It was an opportunity to open the card in an all-action fight. Ready, live on DAZN around the world, to go to war on Saturday night.
It's my gospel on DAZN, Matchroom, Top Rank. Yeah, me and my team are ready to prove ourselves and give a good fight Saturday night.
You and Robert Garcia, as I said, when this fight was put to you guys straight away, yeah, we got the guy. It's an incredible gym, great team down there as well, and everybody believes in you, that you're ready for a fighter, a world-class fighter in Saul Sanchez.
Yeah, we've been getting great sparring with Robert Garcia for 2 years now, and yeah, we're ready. We train really hard, and we're ready for this type of fight.
Sal, welcome. As I said, that night, I think everybody in the arena believed that you should have been a world champion in that Maloney fight as well. Credit to him in a great fight, but a big fight for you on Saturday night. At this stage in your career, against a very, very talented young prospect, it's absolutely must win on Saturday.
Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, he's young, he's hungry, and I'm ready to give another great fight. Never in a more fight one side, so it'll be a good fight.
Also, big crowd.
Atmosphere inside the venue was electric from the very beginning. Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn opened the event by highlighting what has become one of the busiest periods in modern boxing. He spoke about the recent blockbuster events that had taken place and praised the growing cooperation between major promotional companies, saying that boxing fans are finally getting the fights they want to see. According to Hearn, this card represents another major step in that direction, featuring established contenders alongside some of the sport's brightest young prospects.
Human, and I don't just walk around looking homeless all the time. All right, we're back up here, moments away from the final press conference. Diego Pacheco taking on Immanuwel Aleem. Sergio, we started at the top of the show talking about Pacheco, what he needs to do, but Aleem, this is a big fight for him. He's coming off a near shutout loss to Lester Martinez his last time out. Got 4 losses on his resume. This really is sink or swim for this guy.
Listen, even in a loss with Lester Martinez, who's supposed to be, one of the top dogs at 168 pounds, it was a good look going the distance. Aleem's one of these guys that doesn't get knocked out. He's been stopped one time, a long time ago, by Hugo Centeno, a guy that was supposed to be the goods. But he's a spoiler, man. Aleem is one of these guys, just like Diego Pacheco has faced, the Sajos, the McCumbies, the Steven Nelsons, that are small, they're compact, they're strong, they're athletic feet. That's what Aleem brings to the table, but add experience. So this is going to be one of these other fights where Diego Pacheco can go the distance, and we're going to have the same lingering questions. What do we got with Pacheco?
But is this a fight that Aleem can win? Like, we saw him against Lester Martinez. Going the distance is great. Not getting a knockout loss on your resume is great. But ultimately, you've got to pick up wins. And Aleem, he's had a lot of confidence coming into this fight. You saw the initial face-off earlier in the week. They were trash-talking to each other. At the last fight we were at together, they were trash-talking to each other. What do you make of that?
Look, my first response is it's going to be very tough for him to win. But he did he did show signs in his last fight. I mean, he's the type of guy that he's a spoiler, Mannix. If he gains any kind of confidence, if he is able to land some punches on Pacheco early, then he's the type of fighter that can make it a long night for anybody. But to win, it's 12 rounds for a reason. So he can win rounds. He can look good. He can catch the attention of Pacheco, who was dropped in his last fight. So this is the type of fight where if he gets some kind of confidence, it can get ugly quick.
All right, difficult fight perhaps for Diego Pacheco. Important fight for Pacheco, and maybe Immanuwel Aleem will give us a few clues into his game plan. Let's go back to the stage and Eddie Hearn.
It can be being hard, good looking, I have to deal with that my whole life, so it's for me.
He knows what's at stake. That's why he's projecting himself to say that I'm not confident. I'm 100% confident.
Like I told him, he should be thanking me for this instead of talking crazy.
When you get selected and when you get certain fights that's tailored for you to win and you push for it, it's a way easier route.
Lester Martinez had a great fight. He did some good things in that fight, but I feel like against me, he won't have any success at all.
It's the animal mentality, it's animal mode, and you'll get to see that July 18th. It will be unleashed.
As every time I fight in LA, I've always gotten a knockout. His level is below I am, so I'll show that Saturday night. You know what's coming.
Well, welcome back. And we have reached the main event of the evening, Saturday night at the War Grounds, Dignity Health Sports Park, live on the global home of boxing, DAZN, all around the world. This is a fight that I've been looking forward to for many weeks now. We brought these two together at the Bam Rodriguez fight, and ever since it's just caught fire. It's caught fire in the ring that night. It's caught fire across social media, as what I believe is the future of the 168-pound division. Diego Pacheco makes potentially one of the biggest performances of his life on Saturday night. 25-0, 25 years of age, turned professional with us at just 17 against an extremely tough challenger in Immanuwel Aleem. We saw him in a brilliant fight with Lester Martinez. He's brought the smoke in the build-up. He said he's going to bring the smoke on Saturday night on a breathtaking card of action. Of course, Omar Aleem, his father and trainer as well, and the introduction of one of the best trainers in the sport as well, and a former great world champion, Buddy McGirt, now part of the Diego Pacheco team. We're going to speak to the trainers, but first, we're going to speak to the fighters, and I want to talk to Immanuwel Aleem firstly about this get-up. What's behind the gloves, the white suit? What's the thinking behind this ahead of Saturday night?
I'm just prepared for the occasion.
Before the main event discussion even began, attention shifted to the impressive undercard. One of the biggest stories was the rise of heavyweight prospect Freddie Pacheco, Diego's younger brother. Still unbeaten as a professional, Freddie spoke proudly about sharing such a huge night with his brother. He thanked his team, his family, and promised that the Pacheco name would leave a lasting impression on Saturday night.
Some pressure on Diego Pacheco because we've hyped him up. He's got to that spot. Now he's kind of reversed a little bit. He's got the new deal with Matchroom and a multi-fight deal. He's on big money. He's got Buddy McGirt. We're all positioning him as the guy that's going to go on over the next 5 or 6 years and be in big fights at 168. So you get beat or you struggle, and it's a bit of a disaster.
Was it your idea for him to speak Spanish?
No, I think that,
I love the fact that he spoke Spanish here in Southern California.
It's of course it's important to him. It's part of his heritage, and of course, from a marketing standpoint, of course. And as Buddy said, like, when do you find a 6'4" Mexican who can punch at 168 pounds? I mean, there's another one of them in David Benavidez. I don't mean he's quite 6'4", but he's a big guy, and they're very marketable. And Diego's a marketable guy. He's from South Central LA. Of course, he's his whole family are Mexican as well, and he's a good young man. Yeah. You guys have known him. I mean, we signed him at 17. Mm-hmm. He's in the gym every day. He's a family man. He's 110% disciplined. And we just want him to get those big fights. And like I said, it's a dangerous one because you're not reversing from the level you've been fighting at, but you're reversing from what you nearly fought for, and it's like, it's all very well. It looks super smart if he looks sensational on Saturday, but if he doesn't, it affects the stock. And obviously if you get beat, it's a disaster, but we don't believe he will. But I like Aleem, I like what he's brought to this fight. Even from the Phoenix show when he first got in the ring, we were all like, what? There's no beef, but he's coming for it. And like Buddy made a good point, when these guys have got nothing to lose, they look at Pacheco and they think, I take this scalp, the next one is 5 times as much money. Mm-hmm. So let's go.
You got a lot of names on this card, including Andy Cruz coming off that loss to Raymond Murataya. What have you seen from him or heard from him over the last couple of weeks? He's obviously facing a different opponent in Abraham Montoya. You set up on the stage. This will be Andy's last fight at 135
didn't quite
pounds.
agree with that.
Didn't quite really buy into that yet. Maybe you don't want to reconnect
I think, one thing we found in the Murataya fight is Murataya's a big 135 pounder, right? And Andy's not. Andy's a big 130 pounder, and he's a quite a small lightweight, but he's obviously got the skill to, deal with that issue. Against Murataya, he just got run over a little bit in a close fight, brilliant fight, but also a fight where he's had a handful of professional contests. But we believe he was skillful enough to get the job done. It was just, for me, it was the size and that pressure of Murataya. I think at 130, Andy will be so much better. I mean, you look at the fights, Sugar Nunes, Navarrete, Ray Ford, Shaki Foster. Like, there's some brilliant fights for Andy Cruz. So this is kind of an interesting one. I think in these kind of fights, obviously it was going to be Albert Bell, which was a good fight. Now it's Montoya, who's always in good fights. You've got to look really good. I think that's the pressure on Andy Cruz in this fight. I need him to go out there and for everybody to remain excited. They were excited after the Murataya fight because of the way he fought. But I just feel like, being somewhat the bigger man down at 130, I think it's going to really suit him if he's comfortable making that weight. And we've found, like the Murataya fight, doesn't really make weight at 135. And I'd like to see him be the bigger man in the junior lightweight class.
Yep, all part of a 4-fight card on DAZN beginning Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. 8 fights overall. You want to get to the war grounds early. Freddie Pacheco opening the bill, the heavyweight brother of Diego Pacheco. So you're bookended with Pacheco's on Saturday at the war grounds. Looking forward to that. We'll be back here tomorrow, though, for the official weigh-in. Stay tuned for that live on DAZN.
Freddie also spoke confidently about the future of the heavyweight division. While many of today's biggest heavyweight stars are approaching the later stages of their careers, a new generation is beginning to emerge. Freddie believes he belongs among that group and proudly pointed out that he represents a new wave of Mexican heavyweights hoping to make history.
Yeah, some solid names. I mean, going the distance with Lester Martinez, one of the top super middleweights, that is a win in itself, kind of. So he can bring some momentum, some confidence, knowing that he went from a top-rated super middleweight in Martinez to a guy that we don't really know what we have with Diego Pacheco, who could be hot when he's getting the knockouts, but cold in his last 3 fights with UD decisions.
What do you make of Pacheco saying we're targeting the championship fights? Because the reality is he could have had the fight earlier this year against Hamza Shiraz. He chose to walk away from it for a good reason, said he wants to acclimate himself better with Buddy McGirt before he takes on that type of challenge. What did you make of that?
I'll be honest, I didn't like it because Diego Pacheco was sounding and looking like the goods before the Buddy McGirt connection. So I would love to have heard Pacheco say, I'll take on anyone, especially if they're champions, because if you really believe yourself, believe in your power, believe in your rankings, then you want that title shot. But it makes sense. It makes sense to actually build a rapport, build a chemistry with a new trainer. So that shows maturity on Diego Pacheco.
All right, so besides the jab, what more does Buddy McGirt need to do to kind of reinvent Diego Pacheco?
You don't need to reinvent him. I mean, this is a 25-year-old fighter that we don't really know what we have. We had a puncher early in his career. We have a boxer later in his career. Just bring a little bit of both. Buddy McGirt is one of these fighters that can not reinvent great champions, but he knows how to bring out another chapter in their career. That's what he specializes in. The thing about Diego Pacheco is we don't need to reinvent him. We don't need to put him back together again. We just need to continue bringing out what made him good in the beginning. Buddy McGirt could do that.
I didn't say it was Humpty Dumpty there to put it back together again, but it's beyond the jab though. What else is there that needs kind of polishing with Pacheco?
What makes Pacheco special is that he's a 6'4" fighter with a 79-inch reach that could fight on the inside. Excellent body puncher. He picks you up with uppercuts like he did against Caceres. Yes, he can fight you on the outside. Yes, he can box you all night and get unanimous decisions. But we want to see the puncher, the knockout artist again. Inside fighting is what makes Pacheco special. Buddy McGirt brings outside and inside. So I'm curious to see if Pacheco is able to get on the inside of Aleem.
All right, we're going to learn a little bit more about Pacheco. We're going to bring in Eddie Hearn, the promoter of Diego Pacheco, here back in Southern California, looking very Southern California, Eddie, as you approach us here at the position. This feels like something of not a rebirth necessarily, but a rebooting in a degree of Diego Pacheco. He climbed the rankings. He was #1 for a while. He elected not to pursue the Hamza Shiraz title shot. He elected to go with a completely different trainer with Buddy McGirt. What do you make of kind of decisions, the changes that Pacheco has made, and where is he right now?
Another exciting young heavyweight on the card is Leo Atang from the United Kingdom. At only 19 years old, Atang has already built an impressive undefeated record filled with knockouts. This event marks his American debut, and the excitement was obvious every time he spoke.
In his career?
Well, I think it was very mature of him, to be honest with you. And I think, for me, I guess we got a bit of a reputation of kind of going for it a lot. And after the run that he went on and the challenges that he faced, I was actually quite comfortable for him to go for Shiraz and that sort of world championship fight. However, he was pretty honest. And he said, look, I don't feel like my last performance and maybe the one before was necessarily good enough to have the momentum to go into a world title shot. I think there's a lot more to come from me. I think I'm going to get a whole heap better. I'm 24 years of age at the time. And I was like, very sensible. Normally a fighter would just say, give me the fight, give me the opportunity. And I think he probably felt from that Sadjo fight, which, by the way, no one's fighting Kevin Sadjo, even now, right? That wasn't a fight that these prospects want to seem to take. He just felt that he's going to get better. But it's dangerous because you're reversing a little bit, right? And in boxing, it's dangerous to reverse. But when you build with a guy like Buddy McGirt, I think it could be a great decision. We'll find out on Saturday night. Could be a terrible decision, or could be a really smart decision to build himself up, to be able to beat Shiraz and Munguia and all those guys. Because I think he felt that the way that he was going, he might not win those fights. And you can't go into those fights if you don't truly believe you're ready. So a mature decision, but a dangerous one, because Aleem's been great in his build-up. I mean, if you listen to him, and his dad, wow. I mean, I'm sold.
Canelo?
Yeah, Canelo. I mean, but he's a serious fighter. But if Diego is what I think he is, and I believe he is, he's got to be beating guys like this. And we saw him in a great fight with Lester Martinez. And if Diego, it's kind of a measuring stick in this fight. If Diego could even get him out of there, I think it would be a major statement.
Eddie, let me ask you, would it be a disappointment if Diego Pacheco wins another unanimous decision? We know he's a knockout puncher, but you got to give matchmaking credit here. I think Kevin Rooney has been doing an exceptional job, pairing him up with undefeated fighters. But how important is it for Pacheco to get a knockout? I mean, 3 straight unanimous decisions. As a promoter, you can sell knockouts. You can sell a Mexican here in Southern California, but another 12-round decision. How disappointing would it be?
You got to look at the opposition. I mean, I know that McCumbie's a very good fighter, right? I mean, I know he got stopped by Plant eventually, but at the same time, it was a tough fight. Plant was down. I feel like Diego was a little bit gun shy in that fight. And I think that goes back to his confidence, just sort of feeling like he's in a good place. I don't look too negatively on going 12 rounds with Sadjo. I think he's unbelievably tough. And let's be honest, he had him out of there a few times. He got dropped himself, Pacheco, in the fight as well. And Aleem, again, he's not a guy that just goes in there and gets stopped willy-nilly. He went to war with Lester Martinez. He's a durable guy. So I think, you look at it and of course, as a promoter, the fans, we always want that. But I think a lot of that comes from the confidence to stand there and let your hands go. Interesting for Aleem, he talks about the clinches and the holding. Right? I don't think that's something necessarily that Pacheco does a lot. But of course, in the Sadjo fight, with that style, he was tying him up when he got close. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I do think there's...
Atang explained how grateful he was for the opportunity to fight in the United States so early in his career. Although many of his fights have ended quickly, preventing him from gaining valuable rounds, he believes those experiences have helped him grow. Rather than chasing early knockouts, he wants to become a complete heavyweight capable of adapting to every challenge inside the ring.
What y'all here for? You guys know what y'all here for.
Yeah, we ain't smiling. You're coming. You see?
I am.
All right.
Hey, I am.
Okay. In my 6th time fighting in California, all over here.
Oh, big act to follow there, buddy. New team. Plenty of experience on your side as well. I know, obviously, Diego personally, I know how hard he works, I know how dedicated he is as well. I guess as a student, it's been a joy to work with him in this camp, and a big moment for both of you on Saturday.
Oh, most definitely. The kid, I believe in my heart that the world hasn't seen the best of him. There's more to him than meets the eye. He was getting by doing what he was doing, but there's more to him. So, this camp, we just added a little bit. Can't do too much at once. We just add a little bit more flavor to what he was doing. and we've prepared for a tough fight. We know what's ahead of us Saturday night. We're not stupid, you know. And the key is this: to get in there Saturday and handle our business.
I know obviously two very different fighters, but two fighters sort of huge in stature and frame in the weight classes. Callum Smith and Diego Pacheco, of course, a huge 168 pounder as well in size as well, and makes the weight so comfortably as well. A true discipline factor that he shows to camp.
When I told a friend of mine, I said, I'm training this guy, and he's 6'4", and he goes, well, what nationality is this? I say, he's Mexican. He goes, how the fuck you get a 6'4" Mexican? I'm like, you gotta see his father, he's like 7 feet. I said, I don't know, man, but he's really Mexican. He goes, give me his name, I'm gonna look him up. And my friend looked up, he's like, damn, you're right, he is Mexican. I said, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, you know what I mean? So, but for a guy his height and stuff, he can just do so much, man. You know, I can sit here all day, and the key is just to put everything together Saturday night.
And finally as well, keeping it calm, I guess.
The undercard also features unbeaten lightweight prospect Sammy Contreras, who emphasized the importance of staying active and continuing to improve with every fight. Fighting on a major platform gives young boxers the opportunity to introduce themselves to a global audience, and Contreras intends to make the most of it.